Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. O Mother, hold our hand, guide us, protect us from darkness to light, from ignorance to bliss, from death to immortality. O the supreme power of the gods and goddesses and the gurus, bestow upon all of us who are focusing their time in the journey for the awareness of who am I and how can I experience this Turiya. May the Supreme Lord Jupiter, may the Supreme Lord Sun shower upon us the light and the energy of understanding. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome everyone. I do not see anybody in the screen. They're all there? These are what? These are supposed to be welcome?
Yes, their camera is off. Their camera is off.
Okay.
Their camera is off.
All right. Would you all like to switch on your cameras? Choice is yours, of course. It makes us feel nice so that we can see you. Namaskar. So what we are doing, the virtual. So, it is a beautiful saying in the Himalayas, and the saying goes like this. In the morning as they greet each other and they say, in English, if I have to translate it, they say, is your mirror clean? What they're asking is your mind clean? And this journey is towards the Turiya, towards which we are dealing with it now. The third sessions, though earlier we have had been doing a lot of on this, but a concentrated focus on this, because some of you had particularly said, how do we experience this Turiya? This journey is therefore for all of us to take on the journey for experiencing and preparing ourselves, on which the first and foremost is cleansing up the mind. Our mind stuff is cleaning. The second saying they goes on, and as they first thing in the morning in the Himalaya, they have lots of beautiful this charming saying. The other thing is saying, they say, drishti saaf hai ya nahi? The way we are looking at the world, is that clean? And notice that is connected with the mind. The other stories I had told you, there's a monk who was not really a monk, but he renounced the family. His wife had died and he was around 50. Then his sons had grown up and they had got married and they left. He had some property, he sold it off and he gave it away, the money, to children and also the temples and the ashramas. And they, in search of peace and happiness, went on to the world outside. It was in a foresty land where he was sitting on a pavement. One of my journey towards, I remember we were driving down by car and it was totally in the wilderness on the road to Badrinath. And we are coming from Gupta Kashi, and there was an must be about 75, 78, 77 years old, an old white clothed Sardar. He was in a cycle and he was just ahead of us. Just so happened we were also traveling quite slow and he stopped. So I told the driver, just stop. In the whole road, there was nobody. And he was the first person I saw after some time. I said, just stop, stop, stop. They stopped. We had also traveled for some time. So it was a good leg stretching time. I looked at him. His eyes were far away cast, looking far away. He stopped the cycle. The cycle was pretty strange. It had one whole wheel, spare wheel at the back, and a little toolkit, and a small little jhola in the front. Nothing else. He had one kurta pajama that he was wearing. I do not think he had any other clothes because it didn't appear by the little jhola that he had. And he sat down on a little platform which was on the roadside, and it was written in big letter, Badri Vishal, Badri Vishal. And this old 78, 77-year-old gentleman, he was looking far away. I went and asked him, where are you coming from? He said, you'd be amazed. He said, from Amritsar. I said, from Amritsar to here, how did you come? He said, cycling. Imagine, from cycling he's come. 77, 78-year-old gentleman, looked pretty tough. He said, what about your family and children and grandchildren? They must be. He said, yes. He was talking to me in Hindi. He said, yes, we do have all of them. I have said bye-bye to them. In other words, he's taken up the journey as if it is his last journey. On a cycle, cycling all the way. And I'm meeting him after Guptakashi on the way to Badrinath. And you could see his eyes are really powerfully focused into far away. He's searching, looking for something. That's called Drishti Saaf Hai Ya Nahi. It reminds me of that statement of this saying. He had left everything and he's on a search for Vaheguru. So peaceful was his face. And this is the other way they ask, is your mirror clean? So our journey today, dear devotees, as we are taking it up for the experiencing the Turiya, yes, we have to do a lot of preparation, in which in the Karma Yoga, it cleanses our mind, makes us unselfish. Otherwise, we are all holding on to things. So this oldest monk who was sitting down, not the Sardar, another gentleman, and he was looking a little dejected. I've shared this story with you earlier. An old lady who was picking up little dry sticks, and must be for wood and fire. So she came and asked him, why are you looking so sad? He said to the lady, I am in bandhan. I'm tied up to this world. And I don't like it. So I'm very sad for that. So she smiled and he said, to what are you tied? Are you tied to your wife? He said, no, my wife has died some time back. He said, then what are you tied to? Your children? He said, no, they got married and then gone away. They're living their own life. He said, then what are you tied to? Your property? He said, no, I've sold them off and given it away to ashramas and some to my children. He said, then what are you tied to? Your body? Your body is, you remember the 6 changes? Jayate, Asti, Vardate, Viparik Nakshate, and Akshayate, Nakshate. It is going to degenerate, whatever it is. Even if you take gluten-free diet and great yogic exercises every day, it is going to slow down, but eventually all are going to grow. She asked, what are you tied to? And that opened up his eyes, that it is all a game of mind. It is the mind which is playing the game. There's a very powerful presentation done by a circle of worldwide doctors, and they explain, things like pain. How do you suffer pain? So one of the doctor who's a pain specialist, he was talking about, he drew three big circles, and in the center was a small circle. He said the actual pain that we feel is this small circle, which is about 15 to 20% of the actual. And the medicines for the drugs that we take, which has always got bad reaction subsequently, takes care only this 15 to 20%. The rest of it, 75 to 80%, he said, is because of our mind, which is the big circle. And the circle inside, that is the in between the small circle and the big circle, is that it is in anticipation, expectation. Oh, I'm going to get it. Oh, I'm going to suffer. Oh, now what am I going to do? I would not be able to attend this. And this kind of a thing happens. My leg is paining. I cannot walk. My knee is paining. I'll not be able to take up the journey. You all go ahead. This is the obstructions towards the Turiya. So, in taking up these journeys, we need to enlighten ourselves, cleanse the mind with the karma. Bhakti yoga develops a tremendous detachment to the material world and attachment to that one alone. Remember, all the zeros make no connection at all until and unless you put that one before that, all those zeros. Then only the zeros come into the meaning. So in this world today, towards this, every one of us are wanting that peace and the harmony and the joy. And we are all good people. We're doing good things to the family, to the children, to the poor, to the ashramas, to the monks. We are doing, but inadequate. Till the time every action of ours have that one in our mind. The moment we have that one all the time, whatever we do, those are all the zeros. Actually, they are of no meaning at all. And it was spoken by a great Japanese scientist whose books were so famous that he was worldwide top university in the Western world. The Japanese scientist books were, and there was a congregation, and one mathematician from India had gone along with others from India, and this mathematician happened to be a monk, and he also received the top mathematicians award in India. He happened to attend that, and at the end of the session, so they must be having a little drink and talking, and the Japanese scientist was talking to a few of his colleagues. There were other people listening, and he said, you know what? Today I have everything. I have a very good family. I have a wonderful partner. I have great children. I have many houses in Japan, in other countries. My books are sold everywhere. I have enough property. But suddenly I realize I'm at zero. What is the meaning of all this? He's coming to that statement then. So this monk he came up and he said, try putting in 1 before the 0. And the Japanese scientist said, who said that? Who said that? And the monk raised his hand. He said, I said that. He said, who told you that? He said, my guru. And his guru, he's talking about Vivekananda Ramakrishna Paramahansa. He said, my guru had said, whatever in this earth is all zeros. And unfortunately, we are all chasing toward the zero. They're the biggest obstruction toward the Turiya, the fourth state. Mind is scattered. And we have. Does it mean that we have to become a monk and run off to the Himalayas? Advaita is saying no. He's saying just no. Remember that example? If the TV is distracting you, distracting you, don't pull up the plug or switch off the TV. He said, continue to watch, but no, it is only a TV show. Be like the screen. The TV screen is not attached to what is happening on the picture. What kind of a picture? Which monster is breaking, let's say, Empire State Building or coming out of the ocean? It doesn't matter, because it's only a picture. So be in the samsara. But to attain the Turiya state, all the time, no. Play the role like an actor. Actors and actresses, they're acting. Their husband and wife may be sitting next to them, or there may be mother, depending on the age of the actor and actresses. As soon as the action is over, they come down and they totally detach from the action. As soon as they go into the action, they switch off. So play that role like that. A wonderful story of the donkey. Remember the washerman and the donkey? Our mind is tied up like that donkey. Recollect the story, no? Remember them. The donkey, the washerman, he takes the clothes, collects it, takes the washerman for the wash, and he takes away all the clothes, and then he remembers, oh, I've forgotten the rope. So one of the wise passerby from the village, and he said, why are you looking so disturbed? He said, I don't know what to do now. I can't leave the donkey with the clothes all the way back and get the rope and come back. I don't even have time to go to the shop and buy one rope. And poor guy, I can't leave the donkey here and go away because he'll wander off. So the washerman, this villager who came, and he said, don't worry. All you do, show it to the donkey, you're tying him. He said, tie him with what? I don't have anything. He said, just show it to him. He shows it to him, and then he goes and starts washing, and he's looking back once in a while. Just think, remember, imagine the scene. The donkey is not moving. And he is very peaceful. The washerman is peaceful. The donkey is peaceful. He finishes washing, dries up the clothes in the rocks, then puts them all, put it in a bundle, comes and puts it on the donkey. Evening now, 4 o'clock. Now he has to go back, must be 2 hours journey. And he says, Chal hut. Donkey is not moving. He started to push, donkey is not moving, and saying, hee-haw. So the washerman now is worried again. Now, how do I move the donkey? Just so happened that wise man was sitting a little bit close by. He goes and said, now, you told me a trick, it worked. But now how do I move him? He said, you forgot to untie him. Our mind is like this, tied up by our mind. We have to untie the mind with these 4 processes, Raja Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. Know it, be in the samsara, be like in the ocean, the waves, know I am the water. And once you do that, you have a different. And the donkey started moving. He untied it visually, donkey looked at it, and as he said, Chal hut, without the slightest of effort, he started walking. We are like that. And this example has been given, imagine, thousands of years ago by Shankaracharya. He's talking about it, about 1400 years ago. He's referring to this example. So this has been in the mind of you and me for thousands and hundreds of years. He must have heard it from his guru, Govindapada, whose guru, Gaurapada. No? Let's share some of the screens and take you to a little bit of steps. And we got something very interesting towards the end, another techniques of meditation. So hold on and play. So how do we go to this slide? This one, sharing the screen. So Turiya the fourth. How do we experience coming in, going back to our beautiful, whether we agree or not, tum jano ya nahi jano, tum mano ya nahi mano, tum hi Ram. This, that you are the one, you are the consciousness, you are the Turiya. Let us go on to a little bit of now. Look at this gold ornaments. Going back to the example, all this tiara, the bangle, the necklaces, they came out of gold, right? Gold gave birth to it. It was all, just think, they were all hidden inside the gold. A smart gold craftsman, a jeweler, designer, has designed it and took it out of the gold. And if he melts it, it will merge back into the gold. You and I are like that. We are in the fourth state. And the first, second, third, the Jagrata, the Swapna, and the Susupti is out of the Turiya. You say this is our real world. So what exactly is this, the reality of the gold? The gold is that reality in which hidden are all the opportunities. Remember the clay and the pot, classic example of the Vedanta. Clay, pot, two objects. I'm saying mobile and this Bluetooth earbud. There are two objects, two names, two objects. So clay and pot, two names, two objects. So I say, okay, so this is a pot and it is made of clay. And clay, where is the clay? Clay is everywhere. I ask you now, where is the pot? You say, come on, you're holding it. Now reflect, earlier our sessions. No, I'm holding the clay. Yes, it has got a shape of a pot. Yes, I am the Turiya. I have a body, I have a personality, I have a mind. Nama Rupa Bhavahara. But I have forgotten about my consciousness state. We are unconscious of our consciousness. So the connection between the matter and the consciousness is in the big circle today. The other day there was a talk between Dr. Deepak Chopra and Sarvapriyananda, Swami Sarvapriyananda. And Dr. Deepak Chopra in the talk, he was telling Swami Sarvapriyananda that, you know, Swami, all these philosophers and the scientists of the Western world, they're stealing our ideas of the Vedanta. And they should at least give us credit. And Swami Sarvapriyananda said something beautiful. He said, no, Deepak, we don't want the credit. You know why? If we take the credit, what will happen is those people who do not believe in religion, they will say, what? Oh, this is from that Vedanta, or this is from Christianity, or this is from Buddhism. They will switch off. Whereas, if a scientist comes up and says that, look, this is, I am not attached to any religion. This is my individual reflection, thinking, discovery, like Isaac Newton, Copernicus, Einstein have discovered. I have discovered this realization. Then the world, who are non-theistic, non-religious type, they would be automatically be attracted to one more angle. The materialism, they have generally four theories. The one theory is that consciousness takes birth from matter. And this is to be Charvaka. You remember the ancient time? Today in the Western world, most of them say that the consciousness, Chit, Chaitana, it has come. That matter, the body and the mind is created from the brain. So the question is asked, serious question, how does the brain create the consciousness? This is that we don't know. So they have a promising dialogue. Give us another 20, 30, 40 years. We have discovered how life has come. We will discover this also. This is called promissory material. It is not accepted. Now, leading philosopher, there is one British scientist. His name is P.S. Strawson, and his son went on to become also a great, his name is Galen Strawson. And he is currently in the University of Texas in Illinois. And no, he's in Texas, Austin. He says those people who are thinking that consciousness is out of matter is the craziest of idea. So the philosophers and the scientists are coming up from the Western world that there is something called consciousness. Then comes the Austin's theory, to the Strawson is talking about, that it is actually not the hard problem of consciousness, because consciousness nobody could understand. And remember David Chalmers, Australian humorist guy, he's come out with a theory called panpsychism. Panpsychism means, yes, there is matter, there is energy, there is time, there is also consciousness. Another. And they're saying if you really put, David Chalmers is quite a humorous Australian. He is the head of the consciousness mind brain of NYU, New York University. He has a department for this research. Consciousness mind brain unit of New York University. He's saying if panpsychism is a new word, you may like to look it up. It's something nice reading. He's saying if you pay enough attention, then either you will become a panpsychic, meaning you will know it is the truth, or you will become an administrator and leave up all these things. He comes up with a good humor. Now, David Strawson goes on to say that if you look at the material, it is the hard problem of the material. Why? Because if you keep on breaking the material, whatever the material, girl's body, man's body, a diamond, a car, a rupee note, or this table, the chair, the building, it comes to finer and finer and finer molecules, atoms, and then it goes on to sub-atomic particle. And then comes now the string theory. You cannot see an atom with your eye. You cannot see consciousness with your eye, but you can realize it. You can see the atom with a special microscope. It goes on to the next religion is talking about the consciousness has created matter. There is a third theory. Talks about consciousness has created the matter. And this comes in for, the theistic religion, where we say God is up there and God has created the universe. There's a little bit of idea discussion so that your mind is clear. And sometimes when you do get into exchange of views, you should be aware of it. What does the theistic religion say? God created this universe. God created this earth. So consciousness, God. They say, no. We are talking about God is created. So the Vedanta is asking, is your God conscious? They say, of course, my God is conscious. Otherwise, how can he do that? So the matter of God is conscious, has created the matter. And this is the third theory. The fourth theory goes ahead and talks about consciousness between is connection between the matter and the consciousness. There's a connection. And this is Tibetan Buddhism's talk about it. Tsongkhapa, a great Buddhist monk, who had said it is like if you put in a pile of straw together. You have seen as you're driving through, particularly the villages, straws, hay, cows and buffaloes eat. If you pile up them together, then if you look, each one of the straw is actually leaning against each other and getting supported by each other. So as per the Buddhism is Shunyavad. They say everything is zero. Nothing exists. So here it says consciousness and matter is supporting each other, and that is what is the fourth theory. And the fifth is the Vedanta. Vedanta says there is no snake. The universe does not exist. And this is what is the difficult part for you and I to take on. Mano buddhi chitta ahankar is na aham. I am that big I. It is not the small ego, small I. It's not the mind and the body and the name and the form. There is no snake. Recollect, 3 gentlemen going to the temple. And as they reach the temple, lit part, and one of the man says, oh, it was a real trouble. Remember that snake which we saw? The other man said, no, I had also seen it. It's not a snake. It was a crack on the earth. Last year, there was an earthquake. The earth had cracked a little bit. It was the earth in cracked earth. And third gentleman said, no, I had seen it. I was right next to it. It was an old garland from the temple. Somebody had thrown it away. Notice, the garland theory, the crack theory, snake theory, all 3 are false. The actual reality was there was a rope lying over there. This is the illusions which is there in you and I into understanding that the fifth theory of Vedanta says, like, there is no pot. The pot has taken the shape from the gold. The ornaments do not by itself. Yes, it does form. You can enjoy them. You can enjoy the samsara. But remember all the time, it is the gold alone which is real. The water alone, not the ocean, not the wave, not the bubbles and the froth. It's the water alone. It's the consciousness alone. So what happens now the moment you attain the Turiya state? What happens? Attaining the Turiya state, now you know you are water and everything else is water. You still play the role. You see, like, let's say, Paramahansa Yogananda, Jesus Christ, Paramahansa Ramakrishna, they, after attaining, they continue. Or Babaji, you've read the story. They continue to operate in the samsara. And yet, all those, let's say, Paramahansa Ramakrishna, Vivekananda, and the great monks, Brahmananda and Abhidananda, they all were there around, and each one of them played a different role. And yet, the Guru knew that there is nothing else, but that one alone is the truth, is the consciousness, is the divine power. So, the reality of this world, to this earth, is this little light is for you to understand it with clarity. Is the moon is shining the earth. The moon is actually, the earth is illuminated by sun's light through the moon, but sun is stayed in the obscurity. And similarly, it's talking about there's the consciousness, the Turiya, is all the time, or the Atma, illuminating our awareness. We cannot do anything without being aware of anything. They cannot learn, cannot eat, cannot sleep, cannot do anything. But the consciousness is hiding like the sun. Remember this beautiful example. Now, we are chasing the zeros. That is where the mind is getting occluded with the material things. All we have to remember at the time, it doesn't matter. Be amongst the matter. Be the teacher, teach the subject, teach the teacher, but remember all the time, I'm not the doer. And we have to attain this experience of existence. So recollect the famous knowledge can come only from the awareness. Whatever we want to learn comes only from the awareness. Now, the Pranava Charan meditation is something which we wish to take it up today. And the word goes on to, it is an ancient Shankaracharya, very famous, and Vivekananda was very fond of it, practiced in most of the missions. Dirgha Pranava Ucharana. In English, it is prolonged Om chanting meditation. In which, what does it do? It helps you to calm down your mind, helps you to take away your mind from the sufferings, from the pain, from the attachment to family, to bodies, to properties, to money. And to this, we have to do one little preparation. And the preparations, if you notice here, we are talking about that come right now, imagine, open a suitcase. Okay, everybody, imagine you're opening a suitcase. And in that suitcase, place all the relationship problem. Just put them, imagine. Before we take up this, it's a very important journey, very nice. Put all the financial problems, place all the office problems, things which will happen, which is going to happen, which did not happen. Place all the physical, earthly, like items, like I'm a child, I'm a woman, I'm a man, I'm this name, I'm that name, I'm this appointment, I'm that appointment. Place everything, I'm putting it into the box, into the suitcase. Okay? Place your body into that box with the name and the form. I'm not a wife, I'm not a husband, I'm not a son, I'm not a daughter, I'm not a professional, I'm not a CA or an engineer or a doctor. I place all my thoughts, all my ideas, all my feelings, I put them there. And I am without my body. Now you're imagining yourself, you are just that bare awareness, bare Turiya, fourth state. Just imagine, visualize it. Put that suitcase, put a lock into it, and put it aside. Okay? Now, we would imagine. So what am I? I am that glowing, beautiful, effulgent light. And that's who I am. With that, we are going to take on a little bit of meanings of the Om But initially, the starting of the meanings of the Om is only for us to know about it. When we go on to the Pranabadhvani, do not delve into the meaning. We are going to chant 10 times. During the chanting, all we have to do is concentrate on the sound of the Omkar, recollecting our Mandakya Upanishad lessons. The Omkar actually is the reality which representing the entire mind and the body. And Om is actually telling us our self, which is present and which, understand it, reflect on it very carefully, which represents no waking self, which is A, no dreaming self, which is U, and no deep sleep set, which is A, U, Ba, with Om. Waking, dreaming, deep sleep, and going into the fourth, which is before you take the breath and go into the next one, you're taking a breath, you're going in for a silence. Pay attention to that silence. That is the Turiya state. Now, how are we going to do that is understanding the waker, the dreamer, the deep sleeper is the and from there, thinking of ourselves from the waker, from the dreamer, from the deep sleeper. The deep sleep is absence of all experiencing, not absence from all experiencing, but experiencing the absence of all sound except just the awareness. And because of this experiencing the absence, when we wake up, we say, I had a very good sleep and I love that experience. With all this put together, now we go ahead and practice. Sit properly, square your shoulder, chin up. Take simple breath, focus your mind, close your eyes. Shoulder square, right over left. As we chant the Omkar, we shall be chanting 10 times. In that Omkar, pay attention not to the meanings of the Omkar, only to the sound, fulfilling it. And as you're doing it, practicing it, you would see something beautiful would happen. During your Omkar meditation and during the day in the waking hours, you will hear this Omkar without actually doing. Pranabadhvani is anahat. Anahat is no strike. Ahat is like this. This is ahat sound. Anahat is no striking, no ahat comes in automatically, non-stop, continuous. So pay attention to that Omkar and pay attention to the gap. The gap between a, u, ma and silence. That silence is Turiya, silence is Ishvara, silence is Param Atma. Let us start. Abdomen in, tuning in the mind, putting all our thoughts, mind, body, name, forms, woman, man, work related, problems with body, mind, problems with name and form, tasks to do, chores to do, everything in the box and closing it. I am just the basic glowing awareness, Ananda. You may like to chant with me loudly. or silently. Choice is yours. When you do it by yourself in your actual practice, you may do it more than 10 times, up to 30 times, 3 sets of 10. Today we'll do only one. Take a deep breath, feel the coolness, awareness of the nostril. Breathing out, feel the warmth of the nostril. Experience few breaths, breathing in, breathing out, being aware of the coolness and the warmth. I have packed my body in the suitcase, no nostril. Take a deep breath. Take 3 long breaths. Become aware of the breath. When you're comfortable, you can open your eyes. Go to the full screen. Go to the full screen. This Omkar meditation is very ancient, cleanses your mind and takes away all distractions. It also removes impurities from the mind. A beautiful story time, very applicable. We have spoken about it before. Janak Maharshi, sleeping, loud thumping on the door, opens his eyes, and the guard says, Maharaj, Maharaj, wake up. Our country is attacked, kingdom is attacked. The Maharaj says, quickly get me bows and arrows and sword and call the soldiers, call the generals. Goes out and terrible fight. Unfortunately, he loses. The invader who wins, he says, I will not kill you because you are of noble birth. I will let you live, but you have to immediately leave everything, your family, your children, your property, go out of the kingdom. They all belong to me now. This is how it used to happen those days. The Janak Maharshi, he walks and walks. And this story was told by one of the monks in the Himalayas in the evening time, sunset time. And he's very tired. All the other, his own country, own kingdom people, scared to give him food or water or anything because they will be punished. Maybe their head will be chopped off. The poor Janak Maharshi reaches the next kingdom after a day. Very tired. He sees there is some Annakshetra. They have Annakshetra in Himalayas, like that. Somebody is distributing food. He goes and stands on the queue. By the time his turn comes, everything is finished. And the gentleman who was giving, he says nothing is there. But looking at his regal countenance, the gentleman says, let me see if I can scrape out something. And he sees a little bit of gruel. He puts it into that leaf pot and gives it to him. With a shaking hand, Janak Maharshi takes it, and as he's going to sit down under the tree to eat it, a kite comes swooping down and tries to take it away. It knocks off his hand and falls on the ground. And Janak Maharshi couldn't do it anymore, couldn't take it anymore, and he's crying. Why me? Why me? Imagine, he's a Maharshi, he's a Jnani, and yet he's having this. And suddenly, the guard says, Maharaj, Maharaj, you shouted, do you need anything? And Maharaj wakes up and says, Ye such, wo such. That dream is real, or this world is dream which is real? Which is real? The soldier didn't understand. He tells the queen comes and says, what has happened to the old man, king? Calls the Ved, Raj Ved comes, ask him, Maharaj, what is your problem? What is paining? What is suffering? Where is the difficulty? All Maharaj says, Ye such, wo such. Next day, the word goes around. Something like Twitter must be there. Spread the word around. The king is saying, gone off his head, saying, Ye such, wo such. In the kingdom, king is sitting down there, and ministers and prajas, everybody there, things to be signed. King is not doing anything. Queen is also there right next to him. And anybody comes to sign or get something, king says, ye such, wo such. Message goes to his guru, Ashtavakra. Those of you heard about our sessions on Ashtavakra Gita, great saint. He comes, he immediately understands what is happening. He asked, when he was asked by the king, Gurudev, yes such, wo such. He asked the king, this is the lesson for you and me. He says, when you were defeated, tired, and you were trying to eat the food and it got knocked down, were you present there? He said, yes, I was there. Were you experiencing that pain and the suffering and the hunger and the thirst and the bird coming and knocking it down? Did you feel it? He said, yes, I experienced it. He said, now you're sitting in your kingdom with your queen next to you and all the generals and all this great glory and the gold. Are you experiencing it now? He said, yes. So you and I are experiencing the world, and we are also experiencing our dream world and this so-called waking world and so-called the deep sleep world. Ashtavakra asked him, tells the king, Maharaj, na wo such, na ye such. Neither that is true, nor this is true. The king is confused. He said, what do you mean? And he's a Jnani, he's a Maharshi. This, of course, happened before he became Maharshi. Is nothing true? What is true then? What is truth? Ashtavakra explained, Maharaj, tum hi sat, that you are true. You is who? That big I, that Turiya is the truth alone. Now, after this, when you go on to the meditative state, go on to that state of illuminating the vrittis, leaving aside everything else, no thought, whatever thought comes, illuminated with the light of the consciousness and become aware not of the thought, but of the light of awareness. Be aware of the light, the brilliance of the awareness, which is one, existing everywhere. Imagine you're in an ocean of infinite bliss, consciousness, existence, consciousness, bliss, and stay in that silence. That silence is alone would take us with continuous. As per yogic process, when you attain samadhi, you gain that. As per Vedantic, you attain this understanding, and from there you attain to the same samadhi state. With that, we will end our sessions today. I would like you to ask if there are any questions. Any questions, please?
Dr. Ghosh, I have one request.
Yes.
Can you help us understand Gita's message which Krishna gives to Arjuna in chapter 18, the main which is of detachment, where Krishna mentions that don't tell this to anyone. The best way of getting detached is to imagine that I am working through you in whatever task you do. Can you, just like the way you have, and first of all, thank you for all the PowerPoint presentations you are making, which is helping us understand. In the same way, can you help us understand the prime message of Gita, which is how we should let God work through us, and in that way, surrender all the fruits to God, which is mentioned in several verses of Gita. in your own Vedanta method, by picking up examples from different verses of Vedanta in various Upanishads and various Vedas, the same message?
It's a very good question. It would need another sessions. However, in brief, we will talk to you about. See, basically, Advaita Vedanta are three: Upanishad, Brahma Sutra, and Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, the prevailing are all the ideas which are talking about and which you had earlier pointed out, and right now the question is also coming into the Sankhya philosophy. I and you. There are two. You are my part. You surrender to me, and then Yoga Kshema, I shall grant you all. In the Advaita Vedanta, there is no you and I. There is only one. And merging of the two is the confusing state, which is we need to be aware, know about it. Now, what we are discussing just now, Rajiv, is when you're talking about how do we get onto that detachment. In other words, understand it. In Sankhya philosophy, it is understanding the Sankhya of the you and I am your part, you are the supreme, that he witnessed the entire universe through Krishna. I am a tiny part, I'm scared, by all my hair is rising, and you are the supreme. From that, the moment you taking on to understanding the detachment, letting go, it comes to, Rajiv, something called an action. Action. Kuch karna hai. I have to do something. And the moment we go on to the doing, there are four parts to that. We will do with them in our next session. It'll take a little time to understand. But what Advaita Vedanta is answering, that you don't have to do anything to say, understand, and basically know. That say, understand is for my own, as I am the jiva. But I am realizing on the journey that I am the infinite consciousness, in which what do I have to do now? Become aware. Just know about it. Knowingness is like, I know, I'm not doing anything to take the snake away from the rope or the crack or the garland. I just know it is a rope. I know every one of them have emerged from the gold in that gold jewelry shop. All the ornaments have emerged from the gold, which submerged back to gold. All that water that you see in the mirage cannot wet one grain of sand because it doesn't exist. So in the Advaita, you don't have to do anything to detach yourself. You have to become aware that I am the water and I exist as water, as consciousness in every wave, every ocean, every bubble, every froth. I am the one. This I is not the body, is not the name, not the form. Why is the problem? Why do I have to do something? And when I think about doing something, is because we have got limited. We've got limited by thinking I am this. The moment I say I am a name, I'm a form, I'm a man, I'm a husband, I'm a woman, I'm a wife. And that's where the isolation takes place, identity crisis. So we have to realize I am playing the role as a good actor of the husband, of the professional, of the wife, of the mother. But I am just an actor. All along, I'm aware of the one. I'm aware these are all zeros. I'm aware, but I'm playing the role. I'm playing a good actor. You will go ahead and get an Oscar then, because you're playing a role so well. We will limit with this what are the action limits in the detachment process? What are those? Okay, there are 4 Sanskrit terms in the Vedas. We'll go ahead and discuss with them on our next session. It's a good question, a big one. Any other question? Anybody else? In the past, I was told that I was wanting to ask a question and you didn't hear me. I hope we are not making that mistake now. Let us finish with our prayers. Om Akasha Shanti Prithvi Shanti Vayu Shanti Agnyaya Shanti Jalaspataya Shanti Gaur Shanti Om Uttaradisha Shanti Dakshinaya Shanti Purvadisha Shanti Paschimaya Shanti Om Manaha Shanti Chittaha Shanti. May the Divine Mother, God, our Gurus, hold our hand and take us across to Advaita, to Dvaita, and make us understand all paths lead to one, all religion are one, leading into one consciousness, the Turiya, Brahman, Self, Ishvara, Allah, Jehovah, any name. Jai Guru.